Senti o cheiro, não senti o cheiro. Ó. Segue a névoa. Ué. Olha a névoa. Continua seguindo a névoa. Vai lá, ali. Cidade de navio. Ui, achei que era um buraco. Se fosse, tinha caído. Porra, tá demorando pra renderizar as regiões, velho. Meu Deus do céu.
From this point, the trail appears to split into two. The main source of the Tatarigami energy continued on into the distance, but a small portion remained here and seems to be dissipating slowly.
É, os dois.
Quite possibly. Let's search the area.
Vamos ao redor. Tem que escolher um, é. Se não travar cada andada... Ó.
Something seems to be drawing their attention. Let's take a closer look.
Para de travar, meu Deus. Deixa eu renderizar aí. Porque se eu bater, trava. Se eu bater, trava. Se eu começar a lutar com esses monstros, ele vai travar. Deixa eu fazer esse movimento aqui pra ver se renderiza certo aí, né? Porque não quer renderizar direito, não. Ai, que raiva. Não tava travando, velho. Tô tirando o mato aqui pra dar pra a vegetação, né? Aproveitar que eles estão perdidos. Achei até um ovo. Aí, ó, se eu bater nele... lagando. Tá lagando bonito, hein? Se eu lutar aqui vai lagar? Nossa, só porque eu acertei. Ai, rapaz, eu preciso urgentemente de um SSD, hein? Urgentemente. Não quero tocar em personagem pra não tá. Meu Deus, né? Não dá. Travando desse jeito não dá. Tá muito travando. Troquei de personagem, travou. Ó, tá vendo como tá demorando pra renderizar o personagem? Ó, ah, não, ela já tá já. É como se meu negócio esquecesse a memória dele, velho. Mais ou menos isso, o personagem não tá renderizando direito. Nossa. Meu Deus. Assim não dá. É como estamos aqui, né? Não dá pra voltar atrás. Vamos continuar. Lagando do jeito que tá. Morreu, morreu. Mas... Oh, você não tinha morrido, guerreiro? Vou botar um bicho pra matar você aí. Pronto.
It's... Look at this red stuff. What is it?
By the looks of it, a letter written on a piece of torn clothing. The ink is bone dry. It must have been written quite some time ago. Well, let's take a look.
Ah, não vou ler isso aí não. Me chamo Nagato, preferido pelo Nome. Esse aí. Ele levou minha preciosa lâmina. Corri atrás dele, mas não consegui pegá-lo. Estou deitado descansando por conta da minha exaustão. Achei que morreria aqui mesmo. Meu estômago, né? Não parava de sangrar. Mas parece que um estranho poder tem me mantido, né? Porque ele quer roubar minha lâmina. Ele disse que venderia para ele, mas ele incendiou meu armazém. Que dor terrível. Mas não posso desmaiar. Só me resta escrever essas coisas para me distrair um pouco. O que vai acontecer com o Sachiko, né? E o Shin e o Yuji, né? Sinto muito por eles, realmente sinto. Apenas agora percebo como fiquei preso com meus hábitos e como fui cego à minha obsessão. Devo ter sido amaldiçoado. Coletei todas essas coisas estranhas e... coletei mesmo. Todas essas coisas estranhas e bizarras. Mas elas não me deram nada em troca. Nem um pio de felicidade ou ternura. Colocando tudo junto, e ainda assim não teria valido uma só palavra de sua boca. Obrigado, desculpe te desapontar. Sachiko, né?
According to this letter, a conflict arose because Amenoma Yuya wanted to seize a blade belonging to Mr. Nagato. Yuya started the fire that destroyed the warehouse and wounded Mr. Nagato in the fight. Mr. Nagato kept chase as long as he could, eventually stopping here to write this letter when his strength gave out.
Sim, você está
So,
certo.
where is he?
He was not only mortally wounded, but also under the heavy influence of Tatarigami. Add to that the fact that its aura seems to have attracted a horde of monsters, and I'm afraid he may no longer be with us. Whatever traces there may have been of his fate beyond after this point, they've since been disturbed
Então,
by the
vou peço a
Hilly
comissão Tenryu para realizar mais
There's nothing more
pesquisa.
for us to find here.
Há mais uma coisa importante.
Yes. Right now, we need to uncover some more important truths. If Amenoma Yuya is attacking other people indiscriminately, then the longer we take to find him, the more people risk meeting the same tragic end.
Right. So let's get moving.
Porque ele ficou assim?
I wouldn't be surprised if he, too, fell prey to the influence of the Tatarigami. For a practitioner of the martial arts, the easiest desire to inflame would be their pursuit of further power and skill. All the clues that at first seemed disparate and disconnected, it seems that now we know the thread that runs between them. I have a hypothesis that, if it's correct, not only explains the series of events leading to the two men's disappearance, but also zeroes in on the attacker's identity.
Wait, you figured it out? So these two cases are connected after all?
I believe so. But it's something of an outlandish idea. I will only be able to confirm my suspicions once we've met him in person. On with the search. We must stay vigilant. At any point now, we may find ourselves in danger.
Estamos em perigo? Deve estar mesmo, mas travando do jeito que tá aí, não sei se o perigo é esse aí, né? Ó. É uma olhada para um lado diferente. Vamos aqui, né? Nossa, tá lagando um pouco, hein? Ué. Nossa, lagando desse jeito aqui não me ajuda, né? Não me ajuda em nada. Ai, meu pai. Continuo procurando pista pelo cheiro. Ó. A região aqui tá legal. Renderizando desse jeito tá legal. Não é qualidade, já fiz tudo, velho.
He seems to have stayed here for a long time.
Why here? Is there anything special about this place?
I'm not sure. But on closer examination, I sense that the aura may have lingered here at several different points in time.
Show yourself! It's no use hiding anymore.
Ah, travando desse jeito eu vou ter que lutar.
It's you, at last.
Aha! So it is the same guy from before. What's your problem, huh? What could you possibly have against Kazuha?
Indeed, there should be no enmity between us. If it is Ame Yuya that stands before us. But what if instead of facing Ame Yuya, we are in fact facing the blade in his hand?
A lâmina?
Now that you mention it, it is giving off a strange light. Whoa, whoa! Surely you don't mean... Are you serious?
Tatarigami energy often lodges itself within physical objects, then works to subtly affect any living organisms in its vicinity. The blade has resided in Mr. Nagato's warehouse for many years, affecting his state of mind, and more recently using the sale as a means to affect, or rather as a means to occupy, Ame Yuya's body.
You're sharper than I thought. You've already deduced the truth of the matter. Many, many years ago, I was forged by a famed bladesmith of the Ishin tradition. I was his pride and joy. In me, he placed all his hopes and dreams. As a descendant of the Kaedehara clan, you should be able to guess our greatest regret.
I presume it has something to do with the Raiden Gokaden.
Indeed. At that point in time, he failed to live up to the Raiden Shogun's expectations. In the end, all he could do was to flee the nation by sea on a ship bound for Snezhnaya. He was a bladesmith of great renown, a master of his craft. There was nothing that he could not accomplish. All he needed was more time and a little faith. And sure enough, in the end, he achieved what he had set out to do. All of his life's work, his wisdom, his skill, it culminated in his creation of me. He not only bestowed upon me the greatest of strength, but also endowed me with a consciousness of my own. In her conceit, the Raiden Shogun lost not only the single most perfect blade in the entire world, but also an irreplaceable achievement in the art of blade forging.
So... swords can become conscious and control people?
The people of the time in which I was born never believed I had that kind of power. They saw me as a mere blade, a sharp and well-crafted one, but in all other respects an ordinary weapon. But that gave me the opportunity to take action. After the death of my creator, I decided to leave Snezhnaya and began my long quest to return to the distant land of Inazuma. Moving from one person to the next, I controlled the minds of countless hosts along the way, each bringing me one step closer to my ancestral home. I seek but one thing: to face the full force of the Raiden Shogun's blade and prove my power. The might of Ishin art!
Ah, so Ame Yuya was not your first victim. Tell me, what happens to those you've possessed when you've finished using them?
My hosts? Who cares what happens to them? They are but tools that serve my mission. When they got tired, or injured, or unusable, I hopped to the next one in line. All I needed them for was to take me back to Inazuma.
You're awful.
After I returned to Inazuma, I decided to bide my time in Nagato's warehouse until Ame Yuya handed himself over to me on a silver platter. At long last, I'm approaching my journey's destination. By Ame Yuya's body, I have found you, and by your hand,
senti
I shall
demais, né?
defeat the Raiden Shogun.
Ele quer destruir Shogun de todo jeito.
Kazuha, you stood against the Raiden Shogun's Muso no Hitotachi. There can be no
Eu que derrotei a
other to serve as
Shogun,
my
ninguém vai
host
falar
for
isso
what is
não?
to
Não,
come.
né?
Now, give your body over to me.
Calma aí, vai travar muito a cada ataque. Ó. O cara tem que aparecer na minha frente ali, ó. Aí. Calma aí, jogo. Calma, calma, calma. Calma, cara. Deixa eu carregar. Se eu bater em você, vai travar. Errou tudo. Toma. Errou. Boa, você é forte. Boa, boa. Mas travando desse jeito não dá também, né? Travando desse jeito, ó. Meu Deus, me ajude. PC, me ajude. Será que tá fazendo alguma coisa no fundo? Não tá não, não é possível. Tá ficando normalmente. Cadê o cara? Tá muito fraco, cara. Nem vale a pena lutar. Toma. Acabou.
Do not stand in my way, or I will strike you down too!
Your bluff's fooling no one. You've lost!
Lost? I can never lose. It is this body that has reached its limit, nothing more. Even if you defeat me here, the one who falls will not be me, but this man. He is but a puppet that can be replaced. I can take a new vessel at
Eu
will.
vou te destruir em pedaços.
The end result is the same. I will end this wretch's life before you can lift a finger. And even if I were to lose my physical form, it is but a small setback. My consciousness shall endure. By any means necessary, and any medium available, I shall return and fulfill my destiny!
Your fighting style. It is indeed the forms of Ishin art. But from your movements, I sense only hatred and arrogance, as well as a thinly veiled mania and despair.
Really? You can tell all that just from his moves?
As I've mentioned before, the forms of Ishin art convey the user's thoughts and feelings. Since the blade is currently possessing Aminome Yuya's body, its movements express the innermost thoughts of the blade. If you ask me, the mania is probably due to your desperate, single-minded ambition. You believe I am your only hope.
Are you trying to claim that I am helpless without you? On his deathbed, he passed to me all of Ishin Art's secrets. The little that you know barely scratches the surface. In that regard, why would I ever need your help?
Because all of that is in the past. I've been wondering why you've not caused more trouble in all the years that you've been in Inazuma. If you are indeed a cursed blade that can possess its owner. Now that I've seen inside your mind, everything finally makes sense. You weren't biding your time. You were trapped. After all the time that's passed, you have grown weak. To the point that you are now unable to acquire a new host without making physical contact.
Oh, that's right. Paimon remembers now. Mr. Nagato had a habit of never touching his collectibles.
Only when Mr. Nagato witnessed his wife's distress and decided to sell his collectibles did you finally have an opportunity to reach out to Aminome Yuya and make your escape.
And what of it?
Well, that brings me to my second point. There's a despair in you that is so strong it threatens to overwhelm you. You were determined to fulfill your maker's ambition, whatever the cost. But this ambition is too grand and too heavy for you to bear. Each step you have taken has come at a great cost. I think you realized your limitations long ago. The more you clenched your teeth and pressed forward, the greater your fear of losing everything you had achieved grew, and the more you wished to run from the truth. But the way I see it, what began as an ambition has long since become a delusional fantasy.
What would you know about any of this? I'm just one step away from achieving my goal.
You returned to Inazuma to prove the unparalleled brilliance of Ishin art. But to make this arduous journey, you committed countless atrocities and showed a blatant disregard for human life. Even if you were to sever that divine light, is this truly the outcome that your maker would have desired?
You...
Sure, you inherited the secrets of Ishin art. But even as you made your journey to honor this legacy, you treated the ones who wielded you as mere tools to do your bidding. How could you possibly unleash the full potential of Ishin art when you act in perfect discordance with the principle of harmony between a blade and its bearer?
Silence, you blabbering fool! I must achieve my goal. This was his life's dream, and the very purpose for which I was brought into being. I will concede that you are most perceptive. You see my predicament clearly. But you also underestimate my resolve.
And you should face reality.
Easy for you to say. Facing reality offers me nothing. I have no need of anything that would stand in my way. Not hesitation, not self-reflection, and certainly not your so-called reality. It is pointless to argue further, descendant of the Kaedahara clan. If you wish to save this man, then offer me your body in exchange.
How stubbornly you stick to your wayward path. I do not believe for a second that you can challenge the almighty Shogun in your current state. So let us make a bet.
What? Surely you're not planning to agree to his demands.
Kazuya é forte,
Very well.
relaxa.
Then find yourself some enemies with whom you wish to cross blades. A taste of my power will more than convince you. Once we have dealt with them, we shall proceed to Tenshukaku.
And as for your end of the bargain, if you lose, you must release Amenoma Yuya from your control.
Ah, vou falar com ele de novo.
I accept.
Don't do this, Kazuha!
É uma lâmina amaldiçoada que pode controlar as pessoas.
This is the only way to save Amenoma Yuya. If we don't do this, he'll forever be the Blade's puppet. The cursed Blade's strength is currently very weak, and I sense he's hesitating. This suggests his heart is still not completely devoid of honor. The power of the Tatarigami lies in intensifying existing obsessions. This is the reason Mr. Nagato and Amenoma Yuya fell prey to it. Since I don't have any similar kinds of obsessions, I should be able to put up some resistance for a while.
But even so...
Even if things take a turn for the worse, I still have you both here with me.
Sempre ao seu lado.
We have a chance here to save an innocent victim.
Tudo bem.
Your disdain for me betrays your woeful ignorance. I agreed to this bet because there are things I wish to learn too. Now, take me in your hand.
Então, nada aconteceu. Tcharam.
Kazuha?
A gente vai ter que lutar contra o Kazuha.
I'm okay. I felt a little dizzy at first, but only for a moment. It's all right. So far, this was as I expected.
Eu acho que eu vou parar por aqui. A gente continua nos próximos, né? Para não ficar grande. Se for curto, eu emendo nesse aqui.